Welcome to the DeFi Standard, and this is Mickey B. Fresh. And today, we're going to talk about the Gary Gensler testifying in front of Congress and how Warren Davidson grilled him on the XRP case. And we're also going to discuss the Polysign Platform possibly being used, or most likely being used, for ODL, and how xPool actually integrates with that, which is a term we've heard back in 2017, 2018 as early as, and how the liquidity aggregation is going to be different than our first basically example of XR Rapid that we've seen in the past. Now we have these things called automated market makers and liquidity pools that you don't need price stability to run high volume of payments through for ODL, and you have unlimited liquidity. So the game has changed from the order book model of what was first put out there in XRapid in the early days and pretty much has been seen from this exchange to that exchange. We're going to go through it today with a couple different screenshots to help everyone understand what automated market makers are and liquidity pools, because they're relevant not just for trying to understand the Polysign platform, but for DeFi in general. It's important to understand this is where the market is transitioning to, and this is where we need to really understand and learn about and understand that order book model is not the only way to provide liquidity anymore. And this is why XRP is not going to be a global stablecoin. One of the reasons there, because it doesn't need to be anymore, and it needs to be raised in value. So let's start here with the Gary Gensler testifying in front of Congress. Now I want to watch this whole thing. I want to go through a specific part right here where he talks about the XRP case. And so Gary Gensler talks about regulating exchanges. You're going to hear here. But the thing is, the SEC doesn't regulate commodities exchanges or currency exchanges. They regulate securities exchanges. So I'm not sure where Gary Gensler is trying to go with this, because I don't know if he realizes he's at the SEC now and not the CFTC. And especially the whole debacle they've done with the case against Ripple, and they're really falling behind. I don't see how the SEC has any oversight of regulating exchanges. That's the CFTC's job, but for some reason Gary Gensler wants to bring it up here because it's really all he could talk about, I guess. But listen for yourself. I just want to see how I want the point where Warren Davidson grills him and just brings it up that these enforcement actions are not good, especially with the XRP case. We need a actual clarity in the space of a test of what's security and not just, an unknown for 8 years and then all of a sudden enforcement action. So listen to what Congressman Davidson says to him. And here, we'll listen to Gary Gensler first talk about his exchanges that he doesn't even regulate.
We can do better and get done at the Securities and Exchange Commission, and we have authority, but I also look forward to working with Congress if it's the desire of Congress to try to fill some gaps. As I said earlier, I think crypto exchanges, particularly if one trades Bitcoin in America today, there's not a investor protection regime that really protects as I think would be appropriate around these exchanges. So I look forward to working with you and this committee, if the chair wishes so, on anything you would do in this area.
Thank you so much, and I look forward to working with you, and frankly our bipartisan group will certainly as well. Regulation by enforcement has been characteristic of this space. Obviously XRP is a key case, but it'd be great to have a bright line test so that we wouldn't be dependent on so many enforcement actions or no action letters. So greatly appreciated. Lastly, I do want to talk about the S-line test so that regulation by enforcement has been characteristic of this space. Obviously XRP is a key case, but it'd be great to have a bright line test so that we wouldn't be dependent on so many enforcement actions or no action letters. So greatly appreciated.
So I love how Congressman Davidson right there just calls it out. He's like, there's too many enforcement actions, and XRP is a key case. So he's basically, this is all they say publicly. Now, Gensler didn't respond to that necessarily there, but I think these private discussions are going on behind the scenes, and it's probably putting more pressure on the SEC than it already has. So let's take a look. We have documents that are being disclosed from the subpoena to the SEC about all the communications internally from different interagency things on Ethereum, Bitcoin, and XRP, and also external communications, say to exchanges that we're going to list, or different market makers, liquidity providers, investment firms, anybody. All those are going to come out. And it's likely there's probably many different smoking guns in there. So there's that, and then there's John Deaton and the community coming in from the flank here saying, hey, you didn't protect us, SEC. You actually hurt us. And Mr. Gensler here is Mr. Retail Protector, it sounds like. So that goes against what he's trying to do here. So that's a bad look. And now the third thing here is you got Congress probably behind the scenes, people like Warren Davidson, Ted Budd, and Darren Soto pressing. And what's the other guy's name? I forgot who said XRP is not a security. It's a tip of my tongue. But they're all pressing basically the blockchain caucus, the new SEC commissioner, saying, hey, can't regulate by enforcement. Now, Gensler didn't bring this case per se, but I think it sounds like he wants the SEC to regulate the exchanges. You know, maybe they were thinking, hey, we could get all these things as securities, then we could regulate them on the exchanges. The problem is that's not how crypto works. One, anyone could just pull the crypto off the exchange, go into a decentralized marketplace and DeFi, and do whatever they want. There's just, even regulating exchanges isn't going to give them their whole consumer protection thing. So it seems like the SEC is a couple years behind here still, because we have to keep in mind, DeFi is a tsunami coming. Regulating the exchanges thing, that was like 2018. We're long past that. And there's going to be more and more on-ramps to crypto and to DeFi, not just exchanges. You'll have apps and these banks and institutions that could provide services like PayPal's, your Venmos, and your others are going to be there. So this seems just a little dated. I'm not sure where Gensler is getting with that, but their back's up against the wall with everything going on. So it is possible we see a settlement. Now I want to touch on the whole settlement thing here just quickly and my thoughts, and we'll talk about it more in the live stream. But what does settlement actually mean? If you're Ripple right now, why would you settle? The thing is, it comes down to even not just XRP getting clarity that they say, okay, XRP is not a security, it's a currency, it's commodity, whatever they say it is, they just put in writing it's not a security. But that's not enough. If I'm Ripple, I would say, well, the previous settlements with Tezos, Block One and EOS, Kin, and Telegram, all settled, but the assets that those companies still held behind them were considered digital securities, and they couldn't do anything with those assets without going through the SEC. Ripple is not going to agree to that. That's why there was no settlement previously from Ripple and the SEC. They're not going to agree to let that escrow go through the SEC's overwatch and everything that gets done with it. Now, Ripple doesn't need to sell the escrow to survive, and they don't intend to. That escrow's value is in its ability to boost adoption, provide liquidity, and reward certain liquidity provisionings. There's all types of crypto economics that are just coming to light now on how tokenomics, how you could use those assets, that seigniorage, to boost the adoption and boost the liquidity. That's what they even say right there in their report. Ripple has written the Flywheel report, boosting with digital assets. Look at how Flare has set up the general rewards pool to incentivize certain behavior, incentivize F assets to come onto the network. They reward with that spark. Ripple's the escrow is going to be used in the same type of method. They're not going to just sell it out. That's what they did in the past. But in the future, it's going to be set to different conditions, and it will release, and then a next condition will be met, and it will go there. And if that condition is met, it goes there. And Susan Atheny has talked about this, and that's what Codius is able to do. Codius uses crypto conditions. So once different conditions are met, then it goes there and gets released here. Exactly how that's going to work, I don't know. But that's where they're headed with the whole escrow release. It's not going to be burned. It's not going to be handed over. Just look at the logical things that are already being done with Spark. There's a big escrow there, a general rewards pool. It's part of the supply. It's being released algorithmically. It's the same thing that's going to happen, already probably happens with the escrow out of Ripple's escrow. It gets released to a multi-sig wallet, and then it goes into different smart programs and could be crypto conditions. Based on this condition, it goes there. Based on this condition, it goes there. Now, that could be configured in all types of ways in the future. I don't know exactly how they do it, but that's the logical way, and it just surprises me that the community always keeps thinking that we're going to hand this thing over, or we're going to burn it. No, neither are going to happen. Or continue selling it. Neither. It's going to go this direction because that's where all other networks go. You use the seigniorage to boost adoption, incentivize certain behaviors on the network. So they just haven't been able to distribute it for the past 8 years in certain ways. Now that Interledger is coming up, and then there's Codius, and all these crypto conditions that could be met in Interledger network. So let's go into that a little now. So what I wanted to talk about here, before I go into it, there was this post by Stuart XRP, which I thought was really good. I mean, it gives a little overview. I think this was on XRP chat. So let's go through this a little bit of, this is now the Polysign platform. And some of this information is, speculation here. So I just want to warn everyone. So he says, this person, a dingo ate my XRP, great name. Companies and governments using Polysign will be able to trade or sell their digital assets to one another, settling directly via the custody solution's built-in escrowing capability without having to go through an intermediary, an OTD desk, or an exchange. But why would anyone want to do that, aside from the ease of use of Angle? It bypasses the middleman and maintains high security standards. It also enables an ODL path that is absolutely mind-blowing. Imagine if a company's holding digital assets via Polysign could elect to participate in ODL as liquidity providers by providing OTC-style large block liquidity for high-value transactions. This type of ODL path would bypass exchanges entirely, since it would be effectively facilitating by two P2P OTC trades settled over Polysign. Now, I think it's more than that in here, because you add in the whole DeFi side of this and automated market makers. It's beyond OTC. That OTC stuff is 2017. It's no longer used in that way. But let's take his scenario here. The scenario, Bank A wants to send $47 million to Bank B. Way too much for a standard ODL transaction at this point. But what if the liquidity provider, country A, has a Polysign account where they hold a large block of XRP? They sell XRP to Bank A, and then XRP is immediately dropped over Polysign escrow to a liquidity provider in the Philippines, and also has a Polysign account. LP2 makes the final local payment to Bank B in Philippine peso, and all this happens automatically in about 60 seconds. So I think he's onto something here with this concept of how there are Polysign accounts, because they state that in the job description, the job resume that we found a while back. But I think there's more to this. And that's where the xPool thing comes in, and the automated market making of liquidity pools. Because what this is explaining here is exactly what was the original plan on the ledger. You would have a whole ecosystem of market makers and liquidity providers providing liquidity on the ledger. The problem was the public ledger is public, but you could abstract that out to a layer above, and you could use Codius in a whole different private blockchain, a settlement network basically on top of the settlement layer, to be able to abstract that out. So that's where it looks like Polysign is going. If there's identity mixed in there and other types of compliance, is very likely. But let's go over some different screenshots that I found, and I want to go through automated market makers here. But first, this is straight from xrpl.org about a year or two ago. They talk about an Inter-exchange Network, and those are the gateway model that was supposed to be on the outside of the XRP ledger. That's the on-ramp and the off-ramp. So what ODL does is still based on the XRP ledger. That's why the XRP ledger is a distributed exchange. It's a bunch of exchanges on the outside that are basically used as custodial wallets. When you see ODL, those wallets they're just using those wallets, Bitstamp's wallets, using Bitso's custodian wallet, using whatever, what is the one in the Philippines? CoinsPH. They're just using those wallets to move around the XRP because it masks everything. And there's so many transactions going through them anyway, and so many people using them, it hides everything. So that's why using the exchange's custodial wallets is really a big part of XRapid. So when we see those big transactions going over the XRP ledger, they're not the exchange sending them. They're the users or market makers or ODL users of the exchange using the exchange's wallet, not the exchange itself. So even when you look on the rich list of XRP, oh, Binance holds $1 billion. No, Binance doesn't hold $1 billion. Binance's users hold $1 billion. Whoever has an account on there or whoever's a market maker on there, they hold the XRP. So they're using those different wallets to facilitate things and mask it. So let's go here. So connect to the Internet of Value. One of the key requirements of the Internet of Value is interoperability. Interledger, which plays a large role in driving this interoperability, works best when it uses payment channels as its method for rebalancing accounts. In effect, when you open a payment channel from your exchange to another, you are connecting to the Internet of Value and helping to create the Inter-exchange Network that is fundamental to the success of the Internet of Value and the apps that are built on it. So you can kind of think of a payment channel in a way, kind of like an automated market maker. The concept is still the same. So let's go here where Nick Bogalis talks about the XRP ledger's DEX is underutilized. I do wish more companies used it for more things, including liquidity aggregation. It would be an awesome tool for exchange-to-exchange transfers in real time. So then you also have the XRP ledger's DEX at the center of everything, where they could have liquidity aggregation too. So the Inter-exchange Network would go around the XRP ledger. That's how you have to think of it. All right, so a closer look at asset pricing. Liquidity pools. Now, liquidity pools could be kind of compared to payment channels. They are similar in a way, a little different. But let's talk about liquidity pools because this is very relevant for Flare and it's very relevant for DeFi in general, and to understand this is where the market is going with liquidity provisioning and away from that whole order book, cloud-hosted model of just manipulating pricing and high-frequency trading. This removes the flaws and manipulation of high-frequency trading. Liquidity pools are designed to perform trades and maintain pricing according to a constant product formula that ensures the value of each reserve stays constant even as the ratios of the assets change. Buy transactions increase the price of the bought asset relative to the sold asset. Since the bought assets ratio of the pool decreases and the sell transactions decreases the price of the sold asset, since its ratio in the pool increases. So there's two assets in a pool. As people swap between them, the one people are moving into, that pushes the price up. So it's still supply and demand, but it allows for liquidity to guaranteed at every single price. So liquidity pools directly address this problem by removing the dependence of tokens on trade volume and ensuring constant liquidity. Compared to the traditional order book model, liquidity pools have four main advantages. Guaranteed liquidity at every price level. Behind the scenes, the liquidity pool is just an automated market maker in the form of a smart contract that automatically matches traders' buy and sell orders based on predefined parameters. Traders do not need to be matched directly with other traders, so long as the investors have deposited assets in the pool. Liquidity is constant, although trades that are large relative to the available liquidity can still incur significant slippage. So this concept right here with liquidity pools and automated market makers can be abstracted and still used in like Codius and xPool on the Polysign platform. But this is kind of defining how it works on Ethereum and how it will work on Flare. But the concept is still the same. You're providing liquidity and anyone could source that. So you think of the liquidity providers are providing liquidity. They're providing a fiat and they're providing XRP. ODL user, all they need to do is go from that fiat to that XRP. So they put in the fiat, they pull out the XRP. So they're the market taker. So ODL has a ton of market takers. The market makers provide the liquidity. So they go from one pool to the next pool. And they could use payment channels to do this too. All right, so automated market maker pricing enables passive market making. And order book exchanges, market makers need to constantly adjust their bids and asks as asset prices move. Unsurprisingly, market makers tend to be professionals who have the time and expertise to actively manage their market making strategies. Liquidity pools don't need to aggregate information across exchanges to determine the price of assets. Liquidity providers simply deposit their assets into the pool and the smart contract takes care of the pricing. So see, this is what will allow, is why DeFi is so powerful in general, and it's coming like a tsunami, because everyone can be a market maker, not just those who have expertise or have high frequency trading algorithms. Everyone can provide liquidity, and that's where the future is here. You have a more fair market, because now it's not just a couple big market makers and then everyone else is a market taker trying to undercut them. This is a more fair system, and this is coming, and it's run, on the DeFi side, in Flare and Ethereum and some others. It's software. There's nothing to regulate. There's no middleman. Now, with Polysign and the institutional platform, it's obviously not done like this. There's more regulations involved, and they're able to abstract it out and use regular fiat. So I'm just trying to draw a comparison of how it works in these automated market maker and liquidity pools to understand how it would work in the Polysign platform. The concept will still be the same: unlimited liquidity, constant pricing. This is why we don't need XRP to be a stablecoin. It doesn't have to be, and it doesn't have to be shot up to a certain price. It could be continuously fed. Now, how do the liquidity providers earn fees? That's probably a question many of you are asking. Well, they earn fees for everyone who's transacting in there, has to pay a fee to swap from one asset to another. Now on Flare Network, we're going to have something called Flare X that's going to allow you to swap between any of the assets. You're not going to have to go to the exchange to swap from FXRP to Spark, or from YFlare to Spark, or from YFin to Spark, or YFin to FXRP, or FDoge to YFlare. All those pairings will be available right there on the Flare network, and you could use from your decentralized self-custody wallet. So there'll be less and less activity. Now that is out of the realm of the so-called SEC's regulations. So this tsunami is coming, and it's going to happen in third world, and it's going to come, it's going to swallow America. They just don't seem like the SEC still wants to think they could regulate things to consumer protections. But the whole industry is changing so rapidly, and innovation is so fast. So if you get caught up just looking at what the SEC says and you ignore all the innovation happening, you're missing this whole tsunami that's coming. And it's very important to pay attention to the innovation. So I just see too many missing what's coming, and it's coming fast, and it's at warp speed. The regulation's moving at turtle speed, and this is moving at warp speed. This is going to just swallow it. And as the gas fees and more of these networks like Flare, Polkadot, Avalanche, Cosmos, Cardano pop up, they'll have lower gas fees and they'll have better applications. And now we have the Interledger network coming too, which will have Codius on top too. So it'll be able to do similar things and distributed applications that will run over multiple networks. So it's exciting times, and DeFi is the future of the capital markets and the financial system. Yes, Ripple's doing all the payments, getting that out of the way, connecting the traditional markets. But DeFi is just a tsunami, and it's getting bigger, and it's swallowing more and more and more and more. It's a new financial system being built literally on top of crypto. And it's only going to get bigger as we get tokenization, as we get new digital securities issued, and private equity and commodities tokenized, and different type of derivatives. So when we say, XRP is going to be built in the derivatives market, XRP is not going to be injected into the current derivatives market. No, there's a new derivatives market being built, and that's DeFi. So that's where you'll see XRP used. XRP is not going to be used to settle trades of stocks in the traditional capital market. It's not going to be used in traditional derivatives. No, it's going to be used in this future system that is coming called DeFi, and XRP will be a key point because it'll be pristine collateral, number one, and it will also be able to then be used in it's going to be so liquid. So that's what the idea of Ripple's trying to do, is get it in as many use cases as possible and as many payments, so it has the deepest liquidity. Therefore, it will have more use case in the future. It's not just for banks to use, and it's not just, I'm here for a short period of time and then it's over. This is going to go on for 10 years, at least a decade, and it's going to continue. More and more use cases, more and more financial products are going to come, and they're going to be more complex. And a new derivatives market is already being born in DeFi. That's the future, and it's going to be more complex derivatives with more transparency and more liquidity and new types of collateral will be able to use. So we'll have different types of financial products. But that's where it's coming from here. It's going to start here, and then it's going to just swallow the capital markets. It's not XRP going to the derivatives market to settle everything in stock market. No, that's not happening. The DTCC is going to have to just converge with DeFi at some point because they're moving so slow. DeFi is moving so fast. And it's still immature. It's nascent market. The gas fees are ridiculous on Ethereum. And we're not really anywhere close to mass adoption of DeFi. But at the pace it's moving, look at Flare. Like Spark is the perfect, Flare is the perfect DeFi network. If there ever was one, it is by far the best. And there's reason for that. I'm not just saying that as hype. It has a decentralized Oracle system built into it. And it has a network where you don't need to stake the asset to secure the consensus. And you don't have proof of work mining. Those are the drawbacks of those proof of stake networks and proof of work networks. Now, the reward mechanism goes to those who participate. Now, you're able to participate and also delegate your FTSO vote to earn rewards. So we'll talk more about that in the live stream and another video. I don't want to go too far because Spark is literally the next generation asset. It comes with 2 forms of yield attached to it and a governance vote. Things that XRP, Bitcoin, they just don't have. They just natively don't have. This is next generation programmable assets. I'm not a financial advisor, and this is not financial advice, but I am Mickey B. Fresh, and I'm out.